Hi! In this tutorial, Tutorial 5, Section 6, Part 3, we will be populating the last two tabs of the tab container program. In this part, I will be adding and implementing a combo box drop-down list and a picture box control. With the Tab Experiment project in the IDE, I will be adding a combo box drop-down list to the program's drop-down tab, including demonstrating the program code that is necessary to utilize a combo box control. Then we will implement a picture box control on the Picture tab, and I will describe the programming elements needed to use a picture box. On the drop-down tab, tab 5, we will be adding a combo box list selection element to the program. The primary use of a combo box is to allow a user to make a selection from a drop-down list of text options. These options can be initially set when the program launches. This type of list is called a static list. The list can also be changed and manipulated while the program is running. This is called dynamically manipulating a list. First, to add a combo box to the program, click on the drop-down tab, and from the Form objects within the toolbox, select and place a combo box on tab 5. Gambas should call a first instance of a combo box Combo Box 1. Also add a label control to tab 5, the drop-down tab. Place the label under the combo box. We will use this label, Label 5, to display which element within the combo box is selected at runtime. Items within a combo box drop-down list must be added or changed through code. So now we will be adding some program code to add items to or populate the list of options within the combo box. To do this, double-click on an unused area on the FMain form, which will bring up the public sub form open code block. This is the code that executes when the program first loads, so this is the point where we will be setting up the items in the combo box. First, since this is the form open code block, at this point I am also going to enter a me.center command to center the experimental tab program on the screen when the program launches. Next, we will be adding the additional combo box code. Here are the commands that will be entered. They are actually relatively straightforward. This code block consists of 3 sections. The first part of the code adds individual elements or choices to the drop-down list of the combo box. As you can see, the first 5 lines use the add method to add individual items to the combo box object. Each line in the first section follows the same fundamental structure. Though different objects may have different methods associated with them, the layout of the object method construction is fairly consistent throughout the Gambas language. A programmer only needs to know or look up which methods and options and/or parameters are associated with that method. Such methods are then used to manipulate a program object. In this case, we will be using the add method to populate the list of options within the ComboBoxes drop-down list. Within Gambas, when calling an object method in code, first the target object, the object which is being manipulated, is identified. Next, the method which is being used to manipulate the object is associated to the target object via the dot operator. Next is the actual method. You can see that the add method is passed several parameters within the parentheses. Breaking it down further, here is the add function. And within the parentheses of the method are the parameters which will be passed to the combo box. The first parameter is the text string, which will be displayed as a choice within the combo box drop-down list. This parameter is contained within double quote marks. The second parameter, separated from the first entry by a comma, is the combo box's index number. Each individual entry in the combo box has an index number. This index property can be read to determine the currently selected option, or the index can be used to choose an existing item within the drop-down list. You should note, as with many computer numbering systems, the index numbers actually begin at 0. So the first item index number is 0, the second item index number is 1, etc. So in this example, the first drop-down list entry is the text string none, followed by a comma, and then the index number 0, designating it as the first item in the list. This pattern is repeated for all 5 entries in the list. So this code block adds 5 options to the drop-down list. The first item in the combo box is the word none. Then the words 1, 2, 3, and 4 are added. The two important things to remember here are that the actual text is arbitrary and can be whatever is needed for the program or user interface functionality. And also remember that the actual index numbers begin at 0, not 1. Hopefully, if you always remember this numbering convention, you can avoid a lot of frustration when coding. The next section of the initial combo box code merely sets the index property to the first item within the drop-down list. This coding practice of explicitly setting an index or variable before it is accessed is a good idea whenever a program element can have multiple states while the program is running. This practice prevents effectively random and often very difficult to troubleshoot program conditions from occurring while a program is running. Here I wanted the combo box to start at the first or null selection in this case, the word none. In this example, I have chosen the available options in the combo box and picked which option is displayed at startup. However, I encourage you to change the available item names to be whatever you choose, add as many items as you want, and set whichever item you choose to be the initial choice. The last section of this code block sets the initial contents of the label control, which is being used to display which item within the combo box is the currently selected choice. That completes the initialization of the combo box elements on tab 5. Remember, all of this is done in the form load event when the program first launches. Hopefully, this block of code now makes sense and you can continue experimenting with these Gambas elements. And again, I will include the project's class file in the description below the video so you can verify the code examples. First, I am going to enter a blank line to visibly separate the different sections of the program initialization code. Gambas simply ignores white space characters. In other words, blank lines between commands. So feel free to format your source code in whatever manner you find most useful. In order to enter the program code with a minimal amount of typing, rather than entering all of the add commands individually, I am first entering the line ComboBox1.add, open paren, double quote, comma, space, 0, close paren. Then I am going to copy the first line and paste it into the class file 4 more times. And after a little editing, this combo box example will have 5 available options. I personally lean toward copying and editing lines of code because I find it easier and faster. However, you can enter all of the necessary lines manually one by one if you prefer to do it that way. It's purely a matter of personal choice. If you do use the copy and paste method, you will then need to edit each line to contain the desired text choices and the index number for each combo box entry. For this example, I have chosen to simply have the first entry, entry 0, be the word none. Then edit each of the remaining add commands to change the text to 1, 2, 3, and 4. And don't forget to change the corresponding index numbers to 1 through 4. Again, you should note, the text strings in this example are arbitrary, so you can make them any string of characters you choose. These string entries were chosen by me simply for demonstration purposes, so that the indexes would be easy to associate with the text options. But in order to populate the combo box properly, I really recommend that you adopt a consistent numbering convention, numbering your list items starting at 0, and then consecutively numbering all of the index numbers. And generally, I suggest that you do not skip index numbers, unless you have a specific reason for doing so. Or you may find yourself having great difficulty keeping your coding logic understandable. Next, add the line ComboBox1.index equals 0. This line of code will reset the combo box to the first item in the list, in this case the word none. And finally, add the line of code Label3.Text equals ComboBox1.text ampersand double quote space space dash space selected double quote. This line of code will initialize tab 5's label control to display the currently selected drop-down choice when the program launches. Now that a static list of drop-down options has been added, go ahead and save the project. And lastly, we have to add the code to change what is displayed on the drop-down tab's label while the program is actually running. To do that, return to the FMain form and click on the drop-down tab. Now double-click ComboBox 1. And within the code block that begins ComboBox 1 click, again add the line of code Label3.Text equals ComboBox1.Text ampersand double quote space space dash space selected double quote. Since this is the same code from the initialization block, you can retype this line or simply copy and paste it from above. This code block will update the information displayed on Label 5 each time a list item is chosen from the drop-down combo box. Here you should note that making a selection using the combo box triggers the ComboBox 1 click event and runs the code within that event each time a user clicks a selection. That concludes the program code associated with the basic functionality of the combo box. Go ahead and save the project one more time and run it to test out the drop-down tab. Now that Tab 5's functionality is complete, you can tweak the elements of the drop-down tab to create the best appearance. Remember, you can experiment by making changes and running the program to try out the functionality and the aesthetics, and when you are satisfied, save your work. So before we move on to the next program element, I am going to increase the font size of Label 5, set the alignment property to center, and make Label 5 bold to make it more effective, and run it to test the changes. When all the changes are satisfactory, save the project. Finally, on the last tab, Tab 6, we will be adding a picture box image container to the program. Picture boxes are used to hold and display pre-existing graphics images. Again, these images can be initially set when the program launches, and they can also be changed and manipulated while the program is running. Please note, you will need to have 2 images for this program example. These images can be any relatively small pictures that you like, probably no larger than a few hundred pixels wide and a few hundred pixels high. Store copies of the images somewhere where you can easily find them, your Pictures folder for example. And for the purposes of this program example, name the images my_image1 and my_image2. Next, the images will be added to the project. To do this, move to the Project Resources pane on the left-hand side of the IDE and right-click on the Data folder. Then select Import from the pop-up menu. This will bring up a File dialog box. Navigate to where you have stored the images to be used in this project. Select the first image and click OK. The image will be copied into the project's working folder. The new copy of the image will then be available in the project's data folder. Next, follow the same procedure to import the second image. I should warn you that I have encountered a bug in multiple versions of Gambas. If I import an image into the data folder on my computers, Control-C copy and Control-V paste can stop working in the current project within the Gambas IDE. Relaunching the project within Gambas has no effect on the bug. Control-C and Control-V still won't work. If you experience this issue and you need to make use of the copy and paste functionality, simply right-click on the imported images and delete them. This will restore the ability to use Control-C and Control-V. You can then manually place the images in the project's root folder. The project's root folder is the folder with the project's name, which should be located within your Programs directory. Once you have copied the files into the project's base folder, and after restarting Gambas and the project, the image files will again appear in the project's data folder, and you can use the images as before, along with Control-C and Control-V. I hope future updates of Gambas will fix this bug. Until then, I will try to warn you when I find such issues. Now, with the images in the project's data folder, click on the FMain form and tab 6, the Picture tab. Select the form objects in the toolbox and place a picture box control on tab 6. Also add a label under the picture box. Then change the label's text property to the text. Double-click on the image to change the picture. Go ahead and make the label bold and increase the font size for the best appearance. Next, to set the picture box's initial image, select the picture box on the Picture tab and click on the picture property in the Properties pane. Then click the 3 periods to bring up the Selection dialog box. Select the Project tab in the Selection dialog box and choose My Image 1. Don't forget, the image file should also have a 3-letter extension, probably JPG, GIF, or PNG. Make a note of the actual file name, including the extension. You'll need it later for the program code. Set the image box's alignment property to centered. If you have chosen an image that is larger than the picture box, set the stretch property to true. Here you should note that using the stretch property will force the image to fit in the picture box. However, depending on the image, it may be visually distorted with regards to the height to width ratio, which is why I suggest using smaller images at this point. However, don't forget that you can also manipulate the height and width properties of the picture box to achieve the best appearance, especially if your images have similar height and width ratios. Now that the picture box shows the first of the two images, center the picture box and save the project. Then run the project to view the Picture tab. Next, we are going to add some code to toggle the image that is displayed when the picture box is double-clicked at runtime. Here is the code that is used to dynamically set the picture box's picture property at runtime. In other words, this code will set the currently displayed image, toggling between the two images when a user double-clicks the image. This code contains another if-then decision-making construct. In this case, this if conditional branching code also contains an else alternative option. In this type of conditional code, a condition is assessed, and if that condition is met, then a particular block of code is executed. Otherwise, an else condition exists and a different block of code is implemented. Here, the conditional code block assesses the current state of the picture box, and if image 1 is the current image, then the picture box's picture property is set to image 2. Else, the currently displayed image is already image 2, and the picture box property is reset to image 1. This has the effect of toggling the two images when the image within the picture box is double-clicked by a user. This is the actual code to set or assess the currently selected image contained within the picture box's picture property. In this code, the picture box object is specified, followed by the dot operator, then the picture property is specified. Next is the equal sign, which in this code example is used both to set the property, setting the left side value equal to the right side value, or the equal sign is used to assess whether both the L value and R value, the values on either side of the equal sign, are the same. Finally, in this code statement is the code which is used to identify the location and name of the graphic image. This example introduces a new type of complex variable, the variable of type picture. This variable is created and defined as part of the picture box class. Class definitions and creating such variable structures within class files is a more advanced topic. However, this variable type is already defined within the Gambas language for the picture box object, and the necessary elements to utilize this variable are handled automatically by the IDE when a picture box is placed within a project. The picture variable accepts a text string which specifies both the path and the image file name. In this case, the actual image file is specified by name. You should notice that this project does not require the actual path to be fully specified, if the image file is already within the same directory as the project. That is why we imported the files into the project's data folder. In other words, we can dynamically specify a fully qualified path and file name at runtime, or we can simply import the file into the project at design time. You should also note the exact syntax used to set the picture variable type. Here, the picture variable is specified by the picture keyword, and the path, including the actual file name, is contained within double quote marks, denoting that this information is a text string. The syntax for using the picture variable specifies that the parameters be contained within square brackets. So here is the program command to dynamically set or test a PictureBoxes picture property. Notice that the commands are nested within an if-then-else conditional statement. This code reads as, if the current image is myimage1.jpg, then set the image box controls displayed image to myimage2.jpg. Else, reset the image box controls image back to myimage1.jpg. In other words, toggle between the two images when the image box control is double-clicked by a user. And remember, the currently displayed image exists as a text string in the image box's picture property. Also note that the entire conditional code block is contained between the if and end-if commands. I will be describing the proper syntax of the basic language's if-then statement and using the if-then construct in greater detail as the tutorial series progresses. However, you should feel free to experiment with if-then-else constructs in your own programs, and I encourage you to look up other examples online. But again, don't worry, I will be covering the Gambas basic language's if-then conditional branching more thoroughly in future tutorials. But for now, this is another example which demonstrates the conditional code's fundamental use. That describes the code in this program example. Now I will be entering the code in the project's class file. You should note that PictureBoxes can utilize many common image types. In this case, the images are JPGs. But GIFs, BMPs, and PNGs all work as well. To add the program code to the picture control, right-click the picture box and select Event and double-click. And in the code block that begins PictureBox1 double-click, add the code if PictureBox1.picture equals picture square bracket double quote my_image1.jpg double quote square bracket, then PictureBox1.picture equals picture square bracket double quote my_image2.jpg double quote square bracket, else PictureBox1.picture equals picture square bracket double quote my_image1.jpg double quote square bracket, end if. And also don't forget, I recommend using the shortcut of copying, pasting, and editing similar code whenever it is efficient to do so. Finally, save the project and run it to test the PictureBoxes functionality. If there is a problem, double-check the code in the PictureBox1 double-click code block against the FMain.class file below the video. And also check that the names of the actual images that you have used are correctly spelled and complete. In programming, these types of coding issues very commonly tend to be the causes of many program problems. In the next tutorial, Tutorial 5, Section 6, Part 4, I will be creating a menu system and discussing common graphical menu conventions, as well as demonstrating using program code to integrate the menus into a program. I will also discuss some Gambas-specific menu system characteristics. Again, thanks for taking a look at these videos and joining me as I explore the Gambas language and making these videos. I hope you find them useful.